The views expressed on this channel are only a few of many possible ways to achieve your desired outcome. The suggestions present on this channel are not one size fits all. So, let's begin. All right, hello. This is the mini course on energy alchemy, an introduction to energy protection. I'm a little bit stuffy, so you're gonna have to forgive me if I sound stuffy sometimes. But we're getting this course out. This is gonna be a mini course. I don't think we're gonna be doing too much because a lot of this is straightforward. How to protect your energy, right? So, of course, be on your Zoom at 10. Stick with us. Do your homework. We won't have much homework in this course, I don't think. Stay up to date on your studies. Stay hydrated. Yes, you can eat, ask questions, and participate and have fun, right? You're used to the spiel, right? Especially if you're coming from the shadow work course or the money manifestation course or the dream reality shifting course. So goals for this semester. First of all, recognizing and attack what constitutes a threat. So people say protect your energy, but they don't really go into what attacks are. Like, what do I need to be protected for? So essentially, we're kind of digging into, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but essentially an attack or threat is anything seeking to lower you, right? That's why you protect yourself. So a physical attack is of course when someone comes at you physically, but energetic attacks is more when people go straight to your source of power, which is you. You are your source of power. So for instance, you are excited for a date, you bought a wonderful outfit, and you feel really good about your date. I don't like you, and I don't like that you're going on a date, and I don't like your confidence. So I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if that dress, I don't know if that shirt is sitting on you right. I don't know, something looks off. Otherwise, you look good. You look good though, but something looks off because a lot of these threats are not direct. Some are, but a lot aren't. And we go into it in the shadow work course about what these threats and attacks are meant to do, and how we get subjected to a lot of attacks online, passively and directly. We're gonna get into it. Don't worry about it. Um, Passively would be like the music you consume. So they're saying very negative things, and you start believing them about yourself. But it's anything that goes for your source of you, like your confidence. I go, I don't know how that dress sits on you. I don't know, but otherwise you look great. Have a great day, by the way. So you go on your date, and you're kind of shifting in your seat. You can't focus on your date because now you're thinking about, well, is my dress looking weird? You weren't thinking about that. You were just feeling great, looking good, and now they put some energy in you that has second guessed you. Now they haven't done anything to you physically. They haven't changed your body in that instance. They haven't changed your clothing. They haven't changed your dress. They haven't even touched your date and made your date dislike you. They haven't gone to the venue and destroyed the venue. All they did was attack your perception of yourself. And they kind of switched your mind from that abundance, that joyful mindset of, yay, a date. Yeah, I'm feeling good. They switched you from that to negative. Oh, my clothes are sitting weird. Oh, now my date thinks I'm ugly. Oh, we shouldn't have gone to this cafe. I knew we should have gone to the restaurant with the dark lighting. Now they can see how weird my clothes are. And you're just looking at all these little perceived threats. So, oh, my date's probably laughing at me. And so instead of forging that positive connection, you are now distracted. You're distracted with the negative. And all it took was one comment, and that comment was not even direct. It was not even a direct insult, right? And so we're going to go on to it, but it's about recognizing attacks and understanding what constitutes threats, right? Then we're going to be removing vulnerabilities. So it's not making yourself invincible. Part of being human and the beauty of being human is being vulnerable, right? But it's not making yourself so much of an easy target, because believe it or not, it's not good to be a martyr. It's not good. I use the example in the shadow work course about if you got a sunburn, right? Say you sunburn your back really, really bad. People can often see, just like people can see your light and potential in you before you can, they can see where you're wounded before you can, right? Or where you're sensitive before you can. So you get dressed, your back is sunburned, but you get dressed and you're walking around wherever you're at. And you're walking around like, oh yeah, no one knows I'm sunburned. I'm good. I'm covered up. I'm good. All I gotta do is act normal. But then people notice little things about you, how when you sit down in the chair, you kind of don't touch your back all the way down, all the way back to it today, right? How you're kind of favoring your back. You're not carrying your backpack the way you usually do. You're kind of walking through the hall different. People noticing that you're favoring your back. So people can recognize where you're sensitive before you are sensitive, before you know they know, right? And you know what they can do? They can come up to you, pat you on the back. Ouch, ouch. Out of all the places to pat you, your back, you know? And just like with those insults, like the threats, like, oh, your dress looks kind of weird on you, but it's whatever. What is someone going to say? I didn't attack you. I didn't insult you. I just said a simple, piece of advice. I just mentioned something. How did I ruin your day, right? How did I ruin it? What is the same as if you had a sunburn, right? I didn't punch you. I didn't slap you. I just touched you. Well, it's because they knowingly put their hand in a wound. And so if somebody knows you have like issues with your body image, or if you broke up with your ex because the last thing your ex said was that, they didn't like your body, or they didn't like the way you dressed. That's a wound you have, and someone will remember that, right? And keep that in mind. And so they don't have to say, I think your body is ugly, which is direct, but they don't have to. They can just go, oh, your outfit is hanging interesting on your body. It's a light tap on something they know is an open wound. And so just like you don't have to make yourself invulnerable, because your vulnerability can be your strongest help, it's also important to not show your back to your enemies all the time. An advanced tactic would be to know that they know your back hurts and see who's reaching their hand out to pat it. You know, see who's making those comments. See who is aware of your wound, but make sure they're aware of your wound. You can't really fault people too much if they accidentally make a comment that makes you feel insecure. It's important to communicate, but this course is not really about like dealing with that. That's more the shadow work course. If you're getting triggered a lot by different wounds that you have, that's a shadow work course. Energy protections course is for if someone knows you have a certain wound or concern and they're constantly, kind of dancing around it to get a rise out of you. We're going to fix that, right? And finally, staying on track, not getting off track to match someone's energy. So if your goal for the day is to take a check to the bank and deposit it, right? I don't have to snatch that check out of your hand, and I don't have to stop you from getting to the bank. Wait, I don't have to snatch that check out of your hand, and I don't have to like break your hand. All I have to do is stop you from getting to the bank. I just want to stop you from getting what you want to get done, right? And I don't have to do it directly. There's so many ways, right? So I know you're about to go to the bank, and I start an argument with you, right? And I'm hoping to get you so worked up that you just don't want to go to the bank. I don't really have a reason. I'm just malicious, right? And you think to yourself, oh, I'm really going to humble you. I'm really going to humble you. I'm really going to make you feel stupid, and I'm going to insult you, and I'm going to bring up one of your wounds. That would be matching someone's energy. You're dropping yourself to engage and partake in this, and I cry or whatever. Even though I was the one who initiated the argument, I cry, right? I cry, and oh my God, why would you say that? Why would you go there? You know why it's really not a problem for me? Because I've now gotten you to argue so long that you're so pissed off you don't even want to go to the bank anymore. And you think you have a victory because you like humbled me or really, called me stupid. But what really happened is that I succeeded and you didn't. Your goal was to get the check to the bank. You didn't do that. You humbled me, but you didn't do that. My goal was to get you not to go to the bank. And I did that. You know what I mean? So that's why you need to choose your battles wisely. Now, sometimes, you can kind of set the record straight. You got to do what you got to do, right? But it's not always in your personal best interest to do that. Your goal is to go on that date. Your goal is to get that money. Your goal is to get this done and be this and do that. My goal is just to get you to not do that. My goal is to get you to throw it all away. And I don't care. And a lot of people will not care if you destroy them in the process. I don't care if I destroy myself in the process of destroying you, as long as you don't get it. And that is like hate, right? It's hate. And a lot of us can't understand that mindset. And it took me a long time to understand it too. And I think that's why a lot of people are here. And there's a reason I'm going so deep into this, because you need to understand the basis of the philosophy behind this course. And so sometimes it will just be hate. Um, if you want to dive deeper, uh, I suggest supplementing this with the shadow work course, and we can get into why other people may do other things to, harm us or hurt us or stop us. But you need to understand that regardless of whether someone just hates you for no reason, or if they have a wound and they're trying to stop you, either way, you need to be strong enough so that you do not stop, right? Uh, and then there's the power of your raw truth, and it's keeping your boundary strong. We're gonna get there when we get there. Uh, if this is your first time, I always go to this chart, but if it's your first course with us, I don't grade homework, but the homework is always like a small assignment that helps you in whatever you're working on. So since this is energy protection, it's going to be a small assignment that helps you consider your energy protection. Project one is going to be color dot story. We will get into it later. I'm not going to spoil anything. Midterms. Project two is going to be shadow work, so we're doing a little bit of shadow work. I don't think there's any way to strengthen your energy without like dabbling in shadow work. Like a lot of people want to buy candles and do the candle work. A lot of people want to buy stones. A lot of people want to, read this prayer at sunrise, which is all cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But you cannot strengthen the self while avoiding the self. You're gonna have to kind of get your feet dirty, kind of wade through the mud, right? We're gonna wade through all that ugly stuff we've been forced to believe about ourselves. Uh Especially when it comes to our power, like people feeling powerless to other people's wins. It's okay. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Um and there's gonna be a final. But the lessons are going to be so in introduction to protection work, recognizing a threat, not falling into the trap, aka not always matching someone's energy, because ooh, I humbled them is not the victory you think it is all the time. Sometimes it's a nice little yeah, but sometimes it's not really worth it. And there's concealing the wound, which is it's okay to be vulnerable, but you don't have to show your sunburned black back. Tongue tied, you don't have to show your sunburned back to the world, right? Keeping yourself in your lane. And it's not just because it keeps you safe, but it's because that's how you get to where you need to get faster. You want to get that check to the bank or whatever your goal or manifestation is. Well, darn it, you get there by staying on the route to the bank, right? Keep your eyes on the prize and keeping your boundaries after success. So, after reaching a certain level of success, you will be surprised by how many people who were attacking you now come back to you. They circle back around. And a lot of people will go, oh my God, I'm so glad. It's a Disney movie ending. I got better and I got my success. And this person healed. And now we can be, close again. Family, friends, whoever. And it's not always like that. Sometimes it is, but it's not always like that. You got better and then people want clout off of you, or you got better and people want access to you because they try to ruin you when you had nothing, right? And now that you are something better, sometimes you are just a juicier target, and people will not say that. Sometimes you are a juicier target, like now you have more success for me to ruin, and if I couldn't destroy you the first time, boy, it'll really be gratification for me if I destroy you now while you have all of this. And we can, don't worry, we're gonna, if you feel a little bit infuriated, if you feel a little bit heated, if you feel a little some type of way, don't worry, when we get to this lesson it's gonna be a doozy, but there's a reason I kept it at the end. Okay, so introduction, let's begin. So energy protection, this is your protecting your energy guide. When it comes to energy, it is important to protect it. However, rather than protecting it from other people, it is important to protect your energy from yourself, right? So if you are self-conscious about being stupid, and I keep making little comments about your intelligence that kind of undermine your intelligence, it's going to trigger you. It's going to open up those wounds again. It's going to ruin your day. It's going to put you in a fight or flight mode, probably fight mode. Whether you want to fight me or fight yourself, it's going to put you into a certain type of negative state, right? Whereas if you never had a problem with feeling stupid, you've never felt stupid in your whole life, you've always felt, now you've got other insecurities, but you never felt stupid. And someone comes up to you and says something, they're like, oh, I think you're kind of stupid. What's it going to do? Nothing. It's not going to affect you because you're like, well, you can say what you want, but I don't feel stupid. Same with people trying to call you ugly or untalented or whatever. So, physical protection is like there's emphasis on protecting yourself from other people. When it comes to energy protection, it's about making yourself not untouchable, but not making yourself so easily swayed by someone else's comments or by someone else's ridicule, right? Or someone else's rejection. No matter who is around you, you need to protect your energy from yourself, right? Uh, because the first thing people try to do is make other people feel insecure. If I can't do that by laughing at you by myself, I'll get a group to laugh at you with me, right? To really drive it home that you should be ashamed. If you don't give a damn then I'm going to shift tactics and do something else, right? And people will keep doing things and doing things and doing things and trying different things. And ironically, the people who get the least tired are the people who are trying to like hurt you. I don't know why. Like mosquitoes, they get the least tired. They have all day to do it. They will do it every time they can. And it's like, you're tired. Like, I'm tired of being strong. Why are they not tired of being evil? Because they just don't. It's their livelihood, right? It's what gives them strength. Not just hurting people, but the act of thinking they're hurting someone is giving them strength too. So even if you don't really respond and they get mad, they still get a little bit of strength off of the fact that they got to say something hateful and you didn't slap the crap out of them. They got to say something hateful and, you know, you didn't humble them because they win whether you argue or not, right? In their minds, right? You argue back, then haha, they got you to act out of character. uh you argue back, then haha, now they have something mean that you said one time that they can always hold over you, right? You don't say anything back, you just whatever, then haha, they got to say whatever they want to you and you didn't say shit about it, you didn't do anything. So they're kind of those really difficult type of it really gets to you, right? It really gets to you. um But one thing you need to know is that these people are going to exist just like mosquitoes exist. Mosquitoes buzz around and like, what do? They suck blood, right? They exist. Online, on the internet, in person, they exist. But what you need to do is unlike mosquitoes. So you need to first get yourself stronger, you know, protect your energy. You attract more people who will also help you, help lift you up, help protect you. People who are also on your journey of, no longer being a people pleaser, no longer, being at the whims of other people's comments all the time. And you kind of have more people to rely on because you would be surprised how much someone sticking up for you can go a long way, right? Many of us don't have that type of history, right? In the shadow work course in shadow work unit 1, we ended, and shadow work is very much tied with energy protection. In shadow work unit 1, we ended with the question, when was the first time you felt really let down and who was there to comfort you? For a lot of us it was nobody, right? And then what does that teach you about your needs and your wants? What does that teach you about your power in a situation? you know for a lot of us, we're taught that we're powerless and that what we want doesn't matter and that our comfort doesn't matter, and that other people's will or other people's opinion will always supersede our own. Like, we are subconsciously taught that. And then that's when we learn not to trust ourselves. That's when we learn not to trust our intuition. That's when we learn, not to protect our energy. We keep showing our sunburned back to people all the time, where we're wounded the most, thinking that we're doing, a very kind uh exercise in vulnerability. I'm being so kind. I'm showing people how vulnerable I am. It is good to be vulnerable, but energy protection is learning not to do that so willy-nilly. Well, it's good to be vulnerable, yeah, but not all the time in front of everybody, because unfortunately, some people will kill you. They will kill you. Just like there are serial killers in this world who will do so physically, some people will do so energetically and essentially try to get you to kill yourself, which I think is also murder. But, I don't mean to get so heavy, but I'm telling the truth. People will try to ruin your life. People will get you to throw your life away. People will get you to live in poverty and starve to death and die. People will get you not to chase your dreams and to live in a miserable state. Sorry. People will get you to essentially just ruin your life, throw your life away. They don't have to do it because if they can get you to do it, they will, right? People will get you not to pursue love, right? I gave the example about someone, ruining their own date, right? But people will get you to. So it is kind of serious in the way that And I think a lot of us can't grasp that because we ourselves would never do that to somebody. We would never, like, there are people we're angry at and there's people we don't like sometimes, but we would, a lot of us, I'm assuming if you're in the scores, there's a lot of us who would never go that far. You know, we're like, but why? But what's the motive? And we spend so much time going, there's no way. Yes, there is way. There is way. And unfortunately, I don't want you to have to live through it before you really understand it and see it. Some of us already have, but there, some people are just hungry, right? So no matter who is around you, you need to protect your energy from yourself because essentially people are going to go for, you know, your core. And what's close to your core, your wounds, you know, those are painful things you're holding very close to yourself, right? So every exchange, whether online or in real life, is an exchange of two things. It's energy and information. But information is just energy too, really. But I would say information is like very organized energy, but I don't know if organized is the word. But you know, every exchange is that. Every comment you get, you know, oh, I love your hair. You know, it's exchange of energy. It's positive. Oh, wow, thank you. You know, oh my God, look at her hair. You know, but it doesn't have the heart eyes emoji. It has like the throwing up emojis. Oh my God. You know, that's an exchange. And if you've ever read a hate comment and you've gone, whatever, that's essentially what it means when you make yourself like untouchable or stronger energetically and emotionally, right? So people are energetic beings. We are. And we understand that we have the ability to influence the energy state of whoever we are interacting with. Basically, we can uplift someone or put someone down, right? You know, you've ever been feeling neutral and then you hear your favorite song come on and all of a sudden you're jumping up and your eyes are wide. Whoever made that song, a lot of people went into making that song, but whoever made that song, you know, has the ability to affect you. It doesn't matter if that song's 5 years old or 20 years old. 20 years later, they're still affecting you and getting you up and jumping. And it doesn't matter if that was their intent or not, you know, because regardless, it's your favorite song. But that's how basically how someone can affect someone, and they can do it throughout time, right? Across time. It can even be a song in another language. We can do it across language barriers, right? Um, you can watch I don't know who watches dramas, but you can watch a sad drama, you know, and you can cry with the characters when something happens. Someone successfully, you know, usually when you're watching like a sad scene, they want the audience to feel sad too, because that's the point. You need to be immersed in the art piece, right? You need to like it and be immersed, right? That's usually why they get you to like the character first. And that they do something sad and it makes you sad because they want to make you sad, not in the way that they want to ruin your life, but watching a movie, reading a book, it should be an experience, right? And so that's when we usually don't protect our energy too much because we understand that if there's a happy scene, we should probably feel happy with or for the characters. If there's a sad scene where somebody gets betrayed, we should probably feel angry about who got betrayed. If there is a, you know, any specific type of scene, we need to feel that way because, you know, that's when our protection is low because we understand that we need to be immersed. But see how easily you are swayed when a scene comes on. You know, those are characters. You know, that's not real people. You know, you you know whoever made that song was not specifically addressing you, but you're still touched, right? You're still moved, and that is the beauty of the human race. You know, so we're kind of talking about why people are so easily swayed because, you know, it's partially for experience, but partially because that's just what humans do. You know, we have many things that we do throughout our lives, but interact with each other and affect each other emotionally and energetically. It's one things we just do. However, when it comes to energetic attacks, which is like those comments and insults and things like that, you know, every good thing has its bad side too. You know, just like you can enjoy a wonderful sad movie, someone can actually try to hurt your feelings and make you sad in general, right? Uh, so protecting your energy is the act of making yourself quotes bulletproof in a way. This means making yourself not so easy to control. You know, if anyone could just make any comment about you, then and no, it'll make you spiral, and no, it'll make you send you into a tizzy. We just went over how some people literally get off on that. Unfortunately, even if you can't imagine it, people do. So it's about understanding that you do not have to be everyone's puppet. So a lot of people love power, and a particularly addictive form of power is being able to control others. Like especially when people feel powerless, like well, there's all sorts of people in the world who, commit energetic attacks, but especially if someone is very powerless, they don't have a lot of money, they feel like they don't have a lot of love, they don't have a lot of anything in their life. A lot of these people are gonna do this to you. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Rich people can do it too. People with everything handed to them, good in life, can still do it too. But just know that it comes from a place for a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people of craving power and being able to have power over somebody else. So if someone feels like they can control your mood or just control you, they will essentially have you on their leash. They decide you will feel up when they want to uplift you. They decide you will feel down when they think you're too happy or feeling an emotion they don't approve of. That's when you get those people who give you like very complicated and confusing signals. Like sometimes they seem to like you, and then sometimes they just really don't seem to like you. And it doesn't come from, and the confusion is on purpose, but it doesn't come from a place of them being confused. It actually doesn't. It usually comes from a place of, you go left when I say left, you go right when I say right. I've got power over you. If I want to compliment you and watch you get happy, it's because I did that. If you want to get sad and I need to humble you because you're too excited or happy about something, it's because I made you feel that way. So do you kind of understand it better? They make you feel confused, but they themselves are not usually confused, right? And it's very tricky because a lot of these things you can't outright accuse someone of doing, because common sense stuff, they're going to deny it, especially if they're this manipulative already. They're going to deny it and say, you're crazy, you're sensitive. But it's about being connected with your intuition and knowing when to pull back. Like, you don't always have to accuse someone. You can just go, you know what, this BS is not for me, right? So no one can really take a dream away from you. They can't really take a manifestation away from you either. But they can make you reject it, or they can make you like delay it, right? So you say you want to order tacos. You really want to eat tacos. You want to order tacos. Your manifestation is to be eating tacos by 6 p.m. right? And I don't know why, but I don't want you to get those tacos. I don't want your manifestation coming true. So I look at you all day and I go, do you think you should be eating today? I thought you were gonna eat like a salad or like something healthy, like it's not really concern, you know what I mean? It's like an attack, like it's an attack. And you're like, what do you mean? I'm like, nothing. I'm just saying, a lot of people like to say nothing. I'm just saying. And so you're kind of hemming and hawing. You're kind of thinking, you're like, well, I really wanted those tacos by 6 p.m. And then, throughout the day, I make a few more comments about your diet and probably your body, right? And so it hits 5:55. And I go, so you're going to order those tacos? But I've already said a whole bunch to you, right? And you look at me, you're kind of like, you know what? I don't really want tacos. I think I'll have a salad at home, right? And there's nothing wrong with eating healthy, but you see what was done there, right? Uh, you wanted something, you had plans to get something, you had the means to make it happen, and I gave you a bunch of little interferences, right? So that when it came time to make it happen, you still technically had all the resources. You still had your phone, you still had the money, you still had the restaurant pulled up, you had everything ready to go. You still had the resources, but your willpower, your confidence about it had been changed, it had been shifted. And there's nothing wrong with changing your mind if you had changed your mind for a good reason, a good healthy reason. So make it into something bigger, like you have dreams of becoming a singer. And I go, I don't know if those lessons are paying off, you know what I mean? And so there's a chance to audition, and there's still a chance that you could get rejected at the audition, but you won't know until you go, and you might get some good feedback there. You don't know. But because, of all these little interferences, now you don't even go to the audition. And so now your life path has taken a different course. We go into life paths in the reality shifting course. So if you want to get deeper into that, we can there. But basically, people are going to exist no matter what you do, whether you do what's good for yourself or what's bad for yourself. People are going to speak. So people are going to speak negatively about you, your goals, and your dreams. And then people are going to speak positively about you, your goals, and your dreams. Unfortunately, in the world, we have like an abundance of like negativity. So you're probably going to hear more negativity and see more reinforcement for the negativity than you will for the positive. But that's where you need to exercise faith, right? You know, if you believe something you can happen, that usually means that there's a high chance, right? Like I believe it'll rain today. You see the clouds are, I believe it'll rain today. You think it'll happen. There's a chance it might not, but you really think it's gonna happen. Faith is when you don't really have any evidence of anything, but you just know, you never know. You might be the worst singer in your choir. You wouldn't believe that you're going to be a singer one day, because you're the worst singer in your choir. But if you have faith, that means in the absence of evidence, you still have an inkling that something could happen in your favor. Faith is where you still move forward and you are okay with admitting, and I don't know how. I think it's easy to have belief, and we're getting into where this is related to energy protection, right? So if you have belief, that means you can kind of see the path. You might not see the whole path, but you can kind of see the path forward. Like I believe I'll be able to do this. Faith is where you do not see the path. You only see your feet in front of you and you have no idea what's going on, right? So when it comes to energy protection and shifting out of your old ways, usually when we have very unprotective energy, it's because we've been made to believe that we have no control over ourselves or our circumstances. We are made to believe that we don't have what it takes to get to where we need to be. We are made to believe that we are inherently weak and shameful and that other people know more than we do. So if I don't feel stupid, but if someone says I'm stupid, then they must be right because I've been made to believe that other people know me better. Right? Uh so as you are going from the old you into the new you with protective energy, you're going to have to be exercising more faith until it becomes belief. Like there is no evidence that, all the situations you were in will be cleared up and made better. There's no, you have nothing in front of you that will lead you to believe that you will ever be better because for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, you have been a people pleaser with weak protected energy, weak unprotected energy. But we're working on it, And so you will have to exercise faith for a lot of this, but that is why we are doing this interactive and we are doing it together. And I'm even going through belief in faith because you don't have to know the next step forward. But hopefully, if you are stepping with other people, and even if there's not a lot of viewers, maybe you're just stepping with just me, at least you have someone else with you stepping forward with you saying, look, I don't know what's on the journey either, but we are becoming stronger together. So let's get into it. You do not have to live according to someone else's whims. That is why you need to remember how you feel about your hopes and dreams, or how you feel about yourself. First, you need to improve how you feel about yourself, which I recommend doing the shadow work course alongside with us, especially if you don't know where to start. I give you some prompts. I even give you a script to follow. It's very easy. So improve how you feel about yourself. Shadow work, easy. And then we even walk through it with you, so it's even more easy, right? I even give you the script and like explain things to you. Very easy. We are making this very easy and all very free and easy. Okay, all you gotta do is watch. So you improve how you feel about yourself, which easier said than done, right? But that's why there's a shadow work course and we do it step by step. And then remember how you feel about yourself. So once you go from feeling weak and powerless and like you need to be a people pleaser for people to love you, that you aren't worthy and that you only have worth if you are lowering yourself, weakening yourself, or making your light dimmer for others. Once you kind of work with those ideas and become stronger emotionally, remember that I am worthy, I am smart, I am worth all the good things I want. I can be protected and I can put my foot down and I can have boundaries and I can be strong and I can be the person I need to be. So once you kind of solidify that self, no one can really tell you otherwise. Let's go back to that example. If you stop believing you're stupid because you're not, you're not. But you let go of it. You're not stupid. Someone comes up to you, I don't know, with those one of those little jabs, one of those little comments. I don't know. I wouldn't have done it like that. It's very easy to say, well, good for you, and move on. See, you're no longer triggered. You no longer want to hate. You no longer want to well, let me humble this person back. You just, you know what, whatever. You know, you're no longer swayed. right? And they can't really do anything with that. You know, you didn't quite attack them, but you didn't quite let them off the hook. It was just kind of like an in between. It's very hard to do something with that. You know, if someone's crazy enough, they will try to find a way to get gratification from that response. But, you know, but remember, you will always be you, and other people will only ever be themselves. And that's because a lot of time these attacks are like a transfer of energy. Someone else is dealing with feeling the shame of feeling inferior, of feeling ugly, of feeling stupid. They believe it's shameful, so they try to shift it to you, right? You know, do the example of the person whose date got ruined. Maybe that person does not have the a problem with their body, right? Or a problem with the way they dress. Maybe they have a problem in that they've never been courted romantically. So they see that you get courted romantically and you're excited to go on the date. And so they get to you by attacking your body so that the goal would be to have your date go bad. So it's like for them, they're at home thinking, you know, I can't get a date. But, you know, dates aren't worth it anyways because you go on a date just to be miserable. That's their belief, right? And they've programmed it into you. You know, now you're on the date miserable. But they didn't even have to say all that. They just charged it all into saying, I don't know. Your outfit's kind of hanging off you weird because they know, you know, you've got a trigger with your related to your body image or your clothing. So do you see how it's all related and how it can get very complicated and messy, right? So remember, you will always be you, and other people will only ever be themselves. You do your shadow work, you work through your wounds. Hopefully, they become better people and work through their shadow work too. But if they don't, then essentially you kind of leave them off in their own self created cage of shame. Because once the shame can't reach you, once the guilt can't reach you, essentially your energy is protected and you know you've succeeded. So we got different types of attacks, right? How is the energy exchange in the interaction, like comment section, conversation? It doesn't matter. Insults, which are direct, so meant to inflict pain. You know, directly, you're ugly, you're dumb. So basically, remember who you are and how you feel about you, which is the shadow work route to go. Um, then there's the backhanded compliment, which is indirect. They don't insult you outright. They say something that usually does not have a negative meaning, but it's in a kind of weird way. So it's when, you know, when someone has a baby and they think the baby is ugly and they don't want to say the baby's ugly, so they go, oh, bless it's hard. You know, you sometimes people still mean that. And I think that's what people hide behind when it comes to compliments like this. They hide behind that some people still use them in the I guess you would say intended way, like the way that's actually a compliment. So you kind of have to like second guess, and so you're not quite catching anything because you're wondering like, well, was it supposed to be taken this way in the original compliment sense, or was it supposed to be taken in the backhanded way? I don't know, right? Or you make something, and someone goes, "Oh, that's so precious," you know, those things you can't quite put your finger on. Which I hate these. I hate these because it's like you spend so much time going, well, am I tripping or was that really or you know, which we could go into this one a long time, but we're not going to. So basically, usually I would just let it go, let it go. But if you really want to be that person, I mean, you can ask for elaboration. Uh, because oftentimes it's made because it's hoping that you will either be too confused to recognize it for what it is, or that you'll be, or that you're like too stupid to recognize it for what it is. You know what I mean? So then there's like something reductive, like a reductive comment. So a reductive comment is also indirect. Um, it's basically when, well, it is what it is. It's when something is reduced, right? So say you want to be a famous painter one day and you spend all day painting and you learn all these techniques and you're actually quite good, right? And you make it known that this is serious for you. Art is your life, painting is your life, this is what you want to do. Or music is your life. Like you're really into it, right? It's your bread and butter. It's you devote all of your time to it. This is what you like to do. Reductive comment would go, yeah, you like to spend time doing your little hobby. They reduced it. So it's something that you think will, you know, bring you money, bring you career success, bring your life meaning, bring you joy. And it's been reduced down. Like, whatever, you know. Uh usually most of these is don't engage and let it go. But you can say something like, if you really want to be a zinger, you could say something like, Yeah, many people outside of the field have a simplified way of viewing processes they don't understand. It's when people your little art, usually the word little is involved, right? Like, I don't know, your little music, like you're trying to seriously release an album, your little music. It's those comments that reduce something that brings you a lot of joy, something you put a lot of work into, and then reduce it to like something small. So triangulation is advanced. It's very indirect, right? It's meant to enforce a negative thought about you. So, for example, person A does not like person B, right? So they get together with person C. They feed C false or negative information about B. And so C goes, oh my God, B really is that bad. But B's not that bad. A just doesn't like them, right? Uh, and then B feels in the wrong because A's insults are validated. So we're gonna get into uh looking at this directly later. Uh so I'm actually not even going to delve into explaining this better. Most of you got it right away, but we're about to get into it anyways. So then there's the convenient forgetfulness or leveraging retaliation, right? It's uh meant to make others question you and you doubt yourself. I'll change the sentence later. Forgetting the initial wrong and highlighting the reaction, keeping receipts. So it's like, I bug you and bug you all day. I bug you and bug you all day. I always make fun of your hair. I always make fun of your hair every day. Ha 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 at school. And then one day you go, you know what? Your ponytails are limp or your hair is thinning, right? You step one day and say that. And I go, oh my God. And I tell everyone, I said, can you believe what they said? They made fun of my hair and I was just walking into class. But it's convenient how they kind of forget that they made fun of yours every day for months, right? They leave that part out. And then when you bring it up, oh, I don't remember that, right? It's funny how they don't remember any of that, all those times, but they remember you, right? And then it's also leveraging retaliation because you were not the initial striker. You were, just standing up for yourself that one time. And they're leveraging that to go, okay, look at how bad this person is, right? So what's good is keeping receipts. But like I said, just don't engage. It's good to have receipts because a lot of these tactics, especially triangulation, will lead to you thinking if there's something wrong with you. And it's very good to keep receipts to keep track of who's doing what, right? Not obsessively, but to a degree so that you do not begin to forget who you are, right? Then there's moral licensing or writing somebody writing themselves a blank check, which is indirect. So it's made to make you question motives and doubt yourself, right? Moral licensing is like, you see a lot of people do it when they're dating, like a boyfriend will do something nice for their girlfriend and then immediately, I don't know, put her down and hurt her feelings. And so you can't tell if he's like a really good boyfriend or a really bad boyfriend. And it's moral licensing. It's when somebody does something good and they then think that they have permission to do something bad. And after they do something bad, if you try to hold them accountable, well, it shouldn't matter that I did this bad because what about this good thing that I did? So just watch this situation. We're going to get into examples in a minute, right? So this is an example of triangulation, right? So these are all, oh yeah, by the way, these are all like different ways. There's more ways too, but these are different ways energy can get exchanged and how complicated it can get. And how, if you're going to protect your energy, you need to recognize what type of situation you are in and what is going on around you. Because when you're in the situation, you often don't recognize. Hell, half the time when people directly insult us, we don't even catch it. You know what I mean? So as it gets more complicated, you need to make sure you understand what's going on. Make sure you need to understand when you're triggered and no one did anything wrong versus when there really is something going on, right? So here's one. Blue is friends with green and red. Blue often compliments red while making fun of green. Blue talks about how green is ugly because it is a color of disgusting things. Green does not like this, but Blue tells Green that Green is being too sensitive. So there you have it. Blue makes another friend, Yellow Green. Yellow Green ignores Blue's comments, and Blue uses them as an example of how Green should be. So Blue makes fun of Green, and Green's like, I don't like that. It makes me uncomfortable. So Blue makes friends with Yellow Green, and Yellow Green's like, I don't know. The comments don't bother me. And so Blue says, Well, see how yellow green isn't bothered? I told you you were too sensitive. You see how that works? Blue does not care that green's feelings are hurt. Blue cares about feeling validated in kind of what they're doing and how they're speaking. And yeah, red does not know what to do to help their friends. What would you do if you were red in this situation? So, mind you, red's getting complimented. Red is not being having their feelings hurt at all. Red is being complimented. So red sees all of this happening in their friend group. I'm a little bit stuffy, please forgive it. So red tells green that they should communicate, you know. Green thinks it is a good idea and sits down with blue. Green says, I know you said I should just be less sensitive, but I do not like when you make fun of me. It does not feel good, Blue. Blue says, I'm not just picking on you. I make fun of myself too. Look. So Blue makes a joke about themselves and then shrugs. See, I'm not sensitive about it. Besides, when I make fun of Yellow Green laughs with me. Okay? What Blue just did was invalidate Green's feelings. If Blue was a true friend, Blue would understand that Green's feelings were hurt. Instead, Blue made the conversation about themselves. And the reason I count this as triangulation, right, is because of this. So you have blue, you have yellow green who looks yellow, but you have yellow green, and then you have green here, right? So blue making fun of green, da 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 da. Green doesn't like that. Green says you're hurting my feelings. Blue's like whatever. Blue makes friends with yellow green, and says the same mean jokes, right? Yellow green is not bothered. So being in this dynamic, what is blue going to say to yellow green? Naturally, blue's going to say, see, I told you green was sensitive. I told you this is, the problem is that green is sensitive. Not the problem that blue talks this way, but the problem is that green is sensitive, right? And they're going to feed this information to yellow green. And yellow green's going to go, you know what? Yeah, green might be sensitive. You see how it's kind of like a triangle, you know what I mean? Like it's like both of these. This is the original aggressor, and here's like one that's kind of like been looped in, right? And it can get more complicated than this. It can become a big circle. So if blue had made a lot of friends and just told a whole group of friends that the problem was that green was just sensitive, it still counts. They usually call it triangulation when it's 3 people, but it's still bad. And people can do this with a whole group of people, right? So, yeah, blue is saying yellow green laughs all the time. Yellow green's not as sensitive as you are, green, and so clearly I'm not in the wrong because yellow green doesn't get offended. You know, the focus is never on helping their friend feel better. The focus is on the fact that blue feels validated in saying the hurtful things they want to say, right? But what often happens in real life is this. What green does not realize is that blue went through a lot of greens making terrible and mean jokes. So blue went through a lot of greens, and this often happens behind the scenes. You do not see this. You do not see any evidence of this, right? Usually, oh shoot, hold on. You usually don't see this happen in real life, this portion here, but it's usually what happens. Until blue found a green that tolerated their bad behavior, right? So everyone's like, I don't like you making those jokes about me. I don't like you making those jokes about me. I don't like you. And they're all saying, well, I feel uncomfortable when you make those jokes about me. I feel uncomfortable when you do that. And so blue just basically threw them all away, right? Until they find the one green that was like, shrug, I don't care, right? And so they go, aha, this one. And then they bring this one, and blue is using another green to invalidate their friend green's behavior and reinforce their, hateful way of speaking, right? Yellow green tells green that blue's ignorant comments and insensitive jokes don't bother them personally. Yellow green's like, well, it doesn't bother me, so it shouldn't bother you, which is not how the world works at all. So I don't know why people say that. Yellow green tells green that they should just get over it. Green now feels too sensitive and confused. Like I said, that's why this is called energy protection. Because if you let people get away with it, like yellow, green, and blue, if you let these people get away with it, you will become confused. You will forget who you are. You will forget the situation that you are in. And you will enter their reality, which is not a good reality to be in. Okay, so one day, green gets fed up and makes an insulting comment about blue. Yellow green thinks it is funny and laughs at blue with green. So they're both laughing at blue. Blue does not think it is funny for once, right? So the next day, Blue tells a bunch of other Blues about the ignorant comments Green made. So Blue's over here telling this group of people, like, oh my God, can you believe Green would say this? Can you believe how ignorant Green is to say that? They're leaving out the part where they were the one, always talking about Green, but they're like, can you believe Green would say this and do this? Oh my God, I can't believe it, right? And so Blue hides behind the angry group of other Blues as the group reprimands Green for their comment, right? So Green gets furious and says that Blue makes fun of them all the time and tells them not to be so sensitive. Now, after one comment, Blue is really offended, and it isn't fair. Yellow Green stays back and says nothing. What a mess, right? What a mess. And unfortunately, people let it get to this point because, and I don't blame people for letting it get to this point because a lot of times I think people want multiple things. Usually you want the best out of a situation. Well, first of all, you spend a lot of time in confusion. Am I too sensitive? Well, yellow green doesn't care to do it. It's a problem with me. Am I too sensitive? You know. And then you're like, well, no, blue actually says very bad things. Blue says bad things and shouldn't be, you know, saying things like that. So what's more important, me being cool about it or blue getting away with talking like this all the time? So you spend a lot of time in confusion as the situation gets worse. And then instead of breaking up with blue or getting away from blue, it's about blowing up. That's why I said sometimes you need to pick your battle. Sometimes you go for it. Sometimes just let it go, right? Green didn't break up. Green got there, exploded, and now. And the thing about blue is that a lot of these people are not afraid of looking like the coward. Usually it's just like you think there would be shame in being a coward and hiding and cowering like this. There isn't. Like I said, because a lot of times the goal is to get you or Green or whoever it is to feel hurt and to act out of character. The goal, they do not care if you've humbled them. They don't care if you insulted them. They don't care about that. Yeah, it hurts. They don't care about looking like a coward because the goal has nothing to do with them. The goal is about reducing you, right? And it was essentially accomplished, unfortunately, right? So we're going to start over. We're going to take it back to the beginning, right? So blue is friends with green and red. Blue often compliments red while making fun of blue often compliments red while making fun of green. That's what I meant to put. Right? Blue talks about how green is ugly because green is a color of disgusting things. Green does not like this, but blue tells green that green is being too sensitive. So we've rewinded back to the beginning. This is a new start. Red stands up for green, right? See, something different happens here. Red stands up for green and says, it does not matter what blue thinks. If blue's a real friend, blue will stop hurting green's feelings. Blue does not change. So green and red remains friends and leave blue behind, right? Blue's energy attracts others with the same energy, that kind of picking on people energy, right? But one day Blue makes a terrible comment about their new green friend, because one thing Blue's gonna do is talk about greens, right? The green friend fires back with another terrible comment that matches Blue's, right? And the other two greens laugh at Blue until all three greens are laughing. Ha ha ha. Blue tries to laugh with them, but can't because their feelings are hurt. And one of the greens says, oh, I'm so glad you're not sensitive like other blues. Right? Blue does not like their new friend group. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. But it's weird because what was Blue always talking about? Green being sensitive. Suddenly the issue has nothing to do with sensitivity, right? It's almost like sensitivity was never the real problem in the first place. So watch. Blue doesn't like their new friend group and tries to find green and red again. Blue tells them, I've missed you guys. Let's hang out again. Green says, you don't miss us. You miss being able to say whatever hateful thing on your heart or whatever ignorant thing on your mind without being made to feel bad. You miss that we let you, essentially say what you want to us and get away with it. Red says, you don't want to do any self-reflection or growth, and that is why you are back. And that is what happens. It's just like, it's not, unfortunately, it's not that I missed you. It's that they let Blue say whatever Blue wanted, right? So we come back to this chart here. Can you now point out how many of these were just in that one situation, right? Of course, this one here, So the direct insult, the triangulation, the convenient forgetfulness, maybe more depending on how you look at it. But see, that was at least one, two, or one, two, three, at least three attacks, right? At least three types of attacks. And there's more than on that chart, too. So next, we're going to get into another situation, right? So red. So we're back with our good friend Red, right? Who stood up for green. So Red's in an art club, and their dream is to be a professional painter. Red works really hard towards their dream. Orange and yellow are also in the art club. Red compliments their art and always has something nice to say. But every time Red finishes a piece, Orange makes a backhanded comment, right? And yellow offers unnecessary commentary. So let's see where this goes with our good friend Red. Despite being colorblind, Red still dreams of being a painter. Orange knows that Red is insecure about their colorblindness. So Red's colorblind and Orange knows. Many of Orange's comments towards Red mention Red's colorblindness. So even when Red's pictures come out looking great, Orange says things like, interesting color choice. I mean, I wouldn't have used those colors, but if you like it, I love it. You know, it's, it's one of those shady type things. White jumps in immediately and asks why Orange can't just say the picture is good and leave it at that. Orange says White is just nitpicking and looking for an argument. Ironic, do you notice anything ironic here? How White is standing up for Red and what specifically what Orange accuses White of doing. It seems like Orange is accusing White of doing exactly what Orange is doing. Nitpicking and looking for an argument, right? So one day while Red is in the middle, this is another day. So one day while Red is in the middle of a painting, Yellow is painting the same exact picture. Only Yellow doesn't feel skilled enough to complete the painting. Yellow notices that Red feels optimistic and confident about their painting. So Yellow walks up behind Red and laughs. Yellow says this to Red. Remember, Red's feeling confident. Yellow says, wow, that's pretty good, but I don't know, your water looks flat. The trees have no dimension. The color of the sky is kind of weird. But otherwise, it looks really good. Like, it's pretty good, but I hate everything about it. But otherwise, it's really good, right? Uh, so after Yellow walks away, Red pauses and stares at the painting, wondering if it really is that lacking. So they went from confident about what it was to suddenly viewing their work through a negative light. And it's all started because Yellow didn't feel like they could keep up with Red, right? So White, once again, White's coming in, right? White catches Yellow and tells them that Red did not ask for their opinion. Really, because if you remember, Red was just painting. White showed up talking a whole lot of mess, right? White says, Red didn't ask for your opinion, so who are you to come up and say such unnecessary things? Yellow rolls her eyes and tells White that White is being too sensitive because they were just offering helpful advice. But White tells Yellow, you don't even like your own painting, so clearly you aren't good enough to make your own. So who are you to instruct others in that way? Yellow gets so mad that they walk away and say nothing. So it's like I said, sometimes you can choose your battle. Sometimes go for it and it gets things done. Sometimes just let it roll up. It's one of those times where it was good to stand up. It was good to speak up, say something, and you know, Yellow stunned into silence. Not that this won't be good for Yellow in the long run and change who Yellow is as a person, but it kind of gets Yellow to maybe in the future think twice about messing with Red if they know that they have, such a good friend on their side, right? So eventually, Red wins an award for their art, and White congratulates them. They're realest friend in art club, right? Orange and Yellow win no awards for their art. They confront Red and claim that Red wouldn't have won that award if it wasn't for their helpful comments, right? White says that Red succeeded despite their comments, not because of their comments. So sometimes you will get this, right? Remember I told you your trees were flat and your water was ugly or whatever. Or, remember all those things we said, you succeeded because of us. It's such a weird mindset. And again, we got to go back to that statement. Just because you wouldn't do that to someone, just because you can't grasp how insane you have to be to say that, doesn't mean that that is not what they are thinking and that's not what they're doing. Like, you have to understand in this world, sometimes people really are that kind of like insane, right? So if you look at this chart here, can you check off which of those things happened in this story? Feel free to pause. We're already verging on an hour, so I'm not going to pause too long. You pause And that's actually part of your homework, right? So if you look at these stories where you're just an observer, if you look at these stories, can you check how many of these things happen? And in fact, if you were to add anything, because like I said, these are not the only way things can happen. There's more things that can happen, more types of attacks, you could say. What would you add to this chart if there's a specific one you can think about? What would you add? Um, and also in these stories, which of these things could you pick out? Um, happening. So for one, the reductive comments happen. Uh, just talking bad about Red's art. Then there is the a lot of backhanded compliments when it comes to Red art, Red's art, like, oh, I like it, an insult, and then no, but it's great, you know. So we have a few more, so we're about to wrap it up, right? So Pink and Purple are dating, right? Pink feels very confused in the relationship because sometimes Purple is really kind and perfect, but other times Purple is very mean, right? What's going on with Pink and Purple? So Purple over here. Purple surprises Pink with pretty new shoes. Pink is very excited and thanks Purple. Pink puts on the shoes and says, "What do you think?" Purple laughs at Pink and says, "Your feet are so ugly, gosh, and your legs look terrible too. You might as well take the shoes off." So Pink gets sad and removes the shoes. Pink had plans to go and hang with friends, but now Pink feels too self conscious and instead stays in. While sadly watching TV on the couch, Purple brings Pink a soda from the fridge. Pink feels thankful for the soda and Purple's kind gesture. Uh, and you know why it's kind of structured like this, right? Because a lot of times people remember the beginning and people remember the end, and that's not just when it comes to books and movies. It also comes to when in the middle of a situation, right? You just remember how it started, which is Purple bought some shoes, and then it ends with Purple doing the kind gesture. We're missing the it's easy to forget this whole middle part, and it's not just easy to forget it; it's easy to downplay it when you do remember it. And so when a lot of times people are like, well, why did you overlook it or why did you let it happen? It's because when you're in the situation, this gets downplayed. Because a lot of times people don't want to be that difficult person. You don't want to sense something up and be accused of being too sensitive. You don't want to look crazy for being like overly sensitive. You just don't want to look like that difficult person, which I think a lot of people fear. They don't want to look difficult because we all know that people have humanity, that people have good days and bad days. We all know people make mistakes and don't make mistakes. We do that, and I think we we give that inch, and a mile gets taken, right? A mile gets taken, and we're just like, you want to assign humanity, but you don't want it to be at the expense of your own well-being, right? And so Purple offers, here's another day. So Purple offers to drop Pink off at work and promises to pick Pink up later. Pink is very grateful and accepts the ride. When it's time to pick Pink up, Purple shows up late and grumpy. Pink excitedly tells Purple about the new promotion that they got, right? Purple says, "Wow, I'm surprised they gave it to someone like you. I would have never expected it." Pink asks, "Well, what does that mean?" Purple says, "Now you're just looking for a fight. I didn't even mean it like that. You just like to start fights." Interesting, huh? Pink says nothing and looks out of the window, no longer thinking about their lucky promotion. Oh no. And I wonder why, right? Pink decides to communicate with Purple and asks what's going on. Purple blows up and says, "Do you expect me to be perfect? I can't have bad days. You're holding me to an unrealistic expectation." Pink says, "You speak to me with no filter and you say the worst things. It's not about you being perfect, it's about you doing the bare minimum to be nice." Which, notice how Pink is worked out, right? And a lot of times in this situation, you see Purple, I'm carrying Purple. The purples in the situation might sometimes go by specific wording, right? Whereas Pink's, like if you were in the role of the victim, like the victim, right? You're going to be focusing on the situation and the feeling, right? So this is where Pink made the mistake in Purple's eyes, right? Pink says, it's not about you being perfect. It's you doing the bare minimum to be nice, right? And so a normal person would look at that sentence and be like, yeah, I agree with Pink. But if you are a Purple, if you've ever dealt with a Purple, you know what they're going to do. If you never dealt with a purple, let me let you in on what purple is about to say, right? Purple says, I'm nice to you all the time, right? I bought you those shoes, I drove you to work and picked you up. I know, you're just ungrateful and you're using me, aren't you? Right? And anyone who can properly remember the events of the story would go, clearly no. Guess what? That's kind of purple's reality. And purple is trying to pull pink into that reality. And if you are a pink in a situation, that is what you are going to have to fight. You will have to fight agreeing to that reality, because the confusion is purposeful. You're supposed to be confused. And again, you're not supposed to trust yourself, and you're supposed to be confused. You don't trust yourself, you're confused. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to align with whoever says or does anything that just sort of barely makes sense. And nothing purple says even makes sense, but it's all pink has to grasp onto, right? Purple, it essentially starts shifting the attention, right? So purple adds, oh my God, and I can't believe you're using. So this went from, pink's like, sometimes you're nice and sometimes you aren't. And can we discuss it? Because I don't understand. And look at where purple has brought it. Oh my God, I can't believe you're using me. They shift. They don't try to look for the solution. They don't try to look for that. They shift to a different type of topic. And it's usually a topic that makes the victim look bad, right? Which is where it gets very complicated. And this is why this scene is in the energy protection course, because like I said, you don't want to be that marionette, on someone else's string. Like they're saying different things. And if you know that's not what happened, you gotta be very strong not to agree if you know that's not what happened, right? So Pink says, but we were in a mutual relationship and I do things for you too. So why can't you remember all those mean things you said and did the same day? The same day as those nice things. And Purple says, well, I can't remember that, which is a lot of people said, I can't remember that, or you remember too many details. Like they'll say that too, right? And Pink says, why can you remember all the good things you did and you can't ever remember any of the bad things you did? Which, if you've ever been a Pink, you know just how frustrating that situation can be. So Purple says, you know what? You're just obsessed with only what I do wrong, right? You're very strange. Let's break up. You're just way too toxic. You see what Purple will do? Purple just forgot. Just the whole script, right? Purple went totally off the script and has essentially just shifted into a different reality, right? Anyone who was present for any part of the Purple Pink stories know that this is not what was going on, right? And this story is a bit trickier than the story with orange and then the story with green and blue. Because you see someone very adamant about something that is not right. You know what I mean? You're seeing someone very adamant. And sometimes when we see conviction, it can scramble our minds, right? Just like that's how gaslighting works. Essentially, that's how gaslighting works. Someone does something, but they are so deep into their conviction that you begin to get confused, right? Because if I come up to you and I slap you, and I look at you and say, "No, I didn't do that," you're gonna be pissed off. You're gonna go, "Yeah, you did. You did just slap me." But if I look you dead in the eye and I just like start going crazy, like, "Oh my God, I would never do that. I would never do that." It's behavior so crazy that you cannot process it, that you can't process that someone's that crazy enough to do that. And so you begin to wonder if you were crazy, right? Because who would slap you and then look you in the eye and go, I didn't do that. They would have to be. And because you can't imagine what it'd be like to be in those shoes, you begin to get confused. So that's why these situations can become very complicated and dangerous. It's also why shadow work is important. But like I said, shadow work goes hand in hand with this course. So Pink walks away going, well, am I the problem? When we all know that Pink was never the problem, right? So we have another story, right? So Purple moves on and dates Teal next. So Purple's dating Teal. Purple knows that Teal is allergic to peanuts. On Teal's birthday, Purple funds and throws an extravagant party. So then you have that nice thing, right? Purple purchases a huge cake, and it's a chocolate and peanut butter cake with peanuts sprinkled on top, right? Everyone thinks the cake looks delicious, but Teal is horrified. Teal cannot eat the birthday cake. Purple gets mad and causes a scene. Teal goes, you're so ungrateful. I funded the whole birthday party. I threw a whole party for you, and now you're not eating the cake. How ungrateful. Uh, at that point, anyone from the outside looking in knows Purple's crazy, right? But in this situation, as pink or teal, you'd be surprised at how confused you get. So this is why these little stories, which is color dot stories, which I said was going to be your project number 1 in this course, is going to be a color dot story. So you're going to be doing your own dot story. It doesn't have to be something that happened to you personally. It can just be something important to you. But you're going to be doing your own color dot story for project 1, and I'm going to teach you how to do it and how to make one and how to make it cute, all for free, of course. But we're not quite there yet. But this is color dot story. So Bill says, I have one food allergy, and we talk about it all the time. How could you forget that I'm really deathly allergic to peanuts, and then specifically buy a peanut cake for my birthday? On top of that, you caused a scene in front of my friends, making me look bad. And Purple says, how can I remember every little detail about you? I made a mistake, and you're the one causing a scene. Teal says, I have a feeling you bought it on purpose. I just don't know why, And so, with things like this, like if you've ever had a purple in your life, right? With things like this, there are statements that are vague, because no, it would be toxic to expect someone to remember every little detail about you. However, that's not what Taylor's doing. However, in the heat of the moment, Purple utilizes, these vague sentences, and there's always a lot of vague sentences they're not obvious. Purple utilizes a vague sentence, right? And because you're in the heat of the moment, you don't quite know how to address it, like the in the best way, depending on the situation, right? So the next day, Purple shows up with a huge birthday cake with no peanuts. Here, Purple says, I paid a lot of money for this cake. Now I've bought you 2. This proves I'm good, right? Phil thanks Purple for the cake, but says that they don't feel comfortable eating it. Purple says, see, you are the problem because you're unsatisfied no matter what I do. You feel how just frustrating these situations are, right? But hold on, we're not done. We got one more slide, right? Teal says, doing something nice does not give you permission to write yourself a blank check to do whatever mean thing on your heart. Buying things does not excuse the terrible things you say and do. Purple says, you're holding me to unrealistic expectations. Remember what they said to Pink? You're holding me to unrealistic expectations? I have to be good and perfect all the time, right? Teal says, no, but you need to stop giving yourself permission to be evil just because you do it after being kind. And so now if you come to this chart here and remember literally those situations are very topsy-turvy, but if you literally remember anything about them, you can pick out a couple of things that happened with Purple there, right? And so that's why we're getting into the next section, which is we're about to wrap up because of the time step. We're actually almost done, right? So that's why the next unit we're getting into is avoiding the traps. Like I said, it's important not to fall into the trap because direct, when the trouble is direct, when the insult is direct, you can easily pick it out. But when it's those complicated, weird kind of situations where you're like, what is going on? That's when it's easy to get you into traps and have you focus on things you should not be focused on, right? So a little communication can go a long way, but at the same time, see where the communication gets you. For example, when you communicate with Purple, note you never get to the point with Purple, right? You communicate thing A with Purple, and Purple's talking about some things D, right? You say Purple, I asked you to bring my umbrella and you didn't bring my umbrella. Purple will talk about something completely different. So you have to realize when communication is not an option, even though it is usually the best option. So avoid those who speak in circles, right? Often the goal is not to find a solution, it is to frustrate you or silence you, right? They speak in circles and you don't really get anywhere. And you're just like, what's going on with this conversation, right? But also avoid those who repeatedly and purposely miss the point of what you were trying to say. Purple, I'm mad that you're always late. And they will talk about anything besides, their lateness, right? Avoid those who change the topic of conversation to avoid like accountability too, right? Uh Purple, why would Purple, you don't have a peanut allergy. Why would you pay for my whole birthday party? But then specifically get me like a peanut butter birthday cake. That's not even a traditional birthday cake. You would have to go out of your way. It seems kind of weird. And yeah, I'm not ruling out the fact that it might be an accident, but it almost seemed like you went out of your way. Like it's such a weird situation. And that's also what a lot of people rely on. They rely on making the situation show kind of weird, that you're like, there is no way this is happening the way I think it is. When really the situation is that legitimately weird. My situation, I mean like whoever you're dealing with. Purple, blue, yellow, red, whatever. So we're gonna wrap it up with this last section on avoiding traps. There's different types of traps, right? So this one's gonna be short. So you have A, B, and C. These are the three orange siblings, right? A asks B or C to wash the dishes. A says, I don't care who it is. B or C, just please wash the dishes. The next day, A asks them. The next day, A wakes up and sees a sink full of dishes. Like, oh my God, I asked two people and neither of them did it, right? A gets upset. B says, I'm sorry, I fell asleep watching a movie, but I'll do them now, right? So B fell asleep. Oh my goodness, that's why the dishes didn't get done. A says, it's okay that you fell asleep. Thank you for doing them now, though. Because we all make mistakes. We all have good days. We all have bad days. We all have times we're strong. We all have times we're not strong. We all have times we, are the best version of ourselves. And then we have times where we're the worst version of ourselves. We all have times where we don't do something we said we would do, which is human. We all have times we do something we said we would do. But, it's good to have patience. A has patience. A says it's okay that you fell asleep. Thank you for doing them now, though, right? So A then goes to C, and A goes, well, C, why didn't you do the dishes? D gets furious and screams, well, what about you? Didn't you leave your socks by the couch 2 weeks ago? You forget to clean all the time, right? Which, whether it is true for A or not, the fact of the matter is A asked for a favor, right? And it didn't get done by B or C. But B lets you know why it didn't get done. They fell asleep watching a movie. Okay, it happens all the time. But then they also hopped right to it to resolve the issue. So not only do you have an answer and a response, you have someone working to resolve the issue. So even if B didn't do it right away, so what? B's okay. Then you have C. Not only do we not know why C did not do them, C also changes the subject, right? C changes the subject to kind of get A to stop bringing up the fact that C did not do what was asked, right? So, did you notice the difference between B and C's responses, which we just went through? B answers the question, why didn't you do the dishes, with a valid reason and then goes to correct the issue. C gets mad and doesn't answer the question, changes the subject, and deflects from taking blame by bringing up a time A messed up. The problem does not get solved, at least in C's case, right? And this is another one of those traps, right? Uh, because now you're both arguing about, well, why didn't you do the dishes? Well, you leave your socks out, and we're just going back and forth, and nothing gets solved, and we really get nowhere, right? And we still don't know why C didn't do them. Probably just being spiteful, but we don't know, right? And that in and of itself is it's one of those traps that'll get you distracted and just thinking about the wrong things. While it is good to be mindful of your own shortcomings, in this particular situation, it did not seem like A was being too hard on C. A was not saying, I'm always clean and you're always a slob. A did not say that. A was just like, why didn't you get the dishes done, right? What C did was a common tactic to shift the blame, right? C did not want to resolve the issue. C offered no solutions. If C wanted to resolve the issues with the dishes, C would have offered something useful, but they didn't. So when engaging with others, it is important to understand when communication with someone is purposely being made difficult or impossible. In the future, A may be hesitant to ask C to help out. which will benefit C because now C doesn't have to do that thing, right? A may also be hesitant about coming to C about C's behavior in the future, which will also benefit C because now C can do what they want, right? On the other hand, even though B made a mistake, they have shown that they are reliable and helpful, and they don't do it the first time, they'll take accountability. Yeah, I fell asleep watching a movie, but they'll get up the next day and they'll do it. They get it done, right? So, in a worst case scenario, which is a worst case scenario, A will start relying on B every time A needs help. I meant to say, right? So every time A needs help with something, they're going to ask B because B's receptive. B is a helper. B is ready to do it, right? And so eventually B might get upset saying, they don't mind helping, but why does A never ask C? And even though B knows that it's because C is difficult, B might get a little stressed. And now we are in a tough situation, right? Uh, some of you with siblings might be in this situation. Even if you don't have siblings, you might also have been in this situation some other time, like at work, right? Now B is frustrated with A. So now B is frustrated, right? Because A doesn't ask C to pitch in anymore, right? A doesn't know what to do because C's gonna pitch a fit if they ask, right? Uh, it's just a general mess, right? So, and an alternative to like worst case scenario is that A and B, A's always relying on B, right? So A and B get praised, right? They get complimented for something they did, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And C gets jealous. So I've also seen this happen. And C goes, you know what? Why are you guys getting complimented? Did you know that they exclude me? I've literally seen this happen, and it's one of those situations that you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to have as many situations as possible for people to relate to and understand, right? So, like I said, C did not want to help out to begin with, so A and B began relying on each other, and they get recognized, they get praised, and now C is like, well, they excluded me on purpose, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess. So this is where we're going to end because yeah, we're hitting the about hour and a half mark, and most classes are hour and a half. So this is where we're going to end this particular lesson, right? So we're not getting into the color dot story yet, where you make your own color dot story because that's project one. What we're really going to do is focus on this chart here. So you don't have to do this for homework, but you can. Um, if you see a type of attack that is not on this chart, what would you add, right? What would you add? What would it be? Would you say that is direct or indirect? Uh, would you say what would you say was meant to do? Right? To make you question yourself? Is it meant to make you confused? Meant to hurt your feelings? What is it meant to do? Right? Then you would give like an example of what it is, and then you would give like a basic solution, uh, such as like keeping receipts on things, right? Uh, If you have nothing to add to this chart, then I suppose you have nothing to add. Just think deeper and think about your own upcoming color dot story. Like I said, this is not going to be a full course like the money course or the shadow work course or the reality shifting course. Those are longer courses. This one's pretty much straightforward, so we're going to be pretty quick. We won't do the color dot story next time. We'll probably do the color dot story the time after next time. But in your color dot story, you're going to have to give different examples of each of these. And like I said, if you add anything to the chart, then you also have to put that in one of your stories. But just like with a lot of these stories, you can do a color dot story with 3 of these at a time, 4 of these at a time, however many. Like the story with orange had like this one, and this one, right? Maybe this one too, depending on how you look at the story. So as long as you just hit each one at least once, right? But I have a feeling because a lot of these stories are cathartic, right? They're giving you, they're like shadow work in a way because a lot of these stories are cathartic. I feel like you're gonna have fun, having to come up with your own story about different situations. But like I said, we're not doing the color dot story next time. We're doing it the time after next time because we have just a little bit more to get through. But this is gonna be a very quick course. So thank you for staying for this. I don't know how many videos we're gonna do in this one. But thank you for staying for this first one, and hope you learned a lot. Those stories were a doozy, huh? Those stories were a doozy. I would say if you want any homework besides what you can add to this chart, I would say how did those stories make you feel? You know, if you could swoop in and change things, what would you say and do? Right? They bring out your inner hero, right? They bring out your sense of justice. Anyways, that was this course, and that was the beginning of protecting your energy. And I'll catch you guys in the next course. See you later. Bye.